Man's out here in central Babylon. I'm not absolutely complaining about Babylon. It does look kind of cool in a way, but oppositionally cool, like Bowser's castle, you know. And that's what this is, you know. That's what Babylon is. It's as above, so below. As below, so above. So you grow up as this human ego, and you believe that you are bacteria on a rock in space, floating around, and you're just some moist bacteria that evolved over millions of years, and here you are, and the brain is got neurons, and therefore I can see out of my body and at the external world, and I grow up, and I play video games like Super Mario. That's what Bowser's Castle is, if you're not familiar. He's the villain in Mario. So that's the story, you know. Like, hold on, let's take a walk down Babylon. Sorry if it's windy. I'll go down here. It won't be as windy now. So yeah, don't expect anything from this video. I'm just recording on a whim. I'll elaborate more in a second, but let me finish my analogy, mate, about this being Bowser's Castle. So as above, so below is, so you watch movies when you're younger, thinking that it, you know, it's through the screen. And an intuition that I have is that basically consciousness is dreaming. I know that for absolute truth, absolute fact, that is infinite dream. Basically what I'm saying is that, like, whatever can happen on a screen can happen, because if consciousness can imagine that behind a bit of glass, it's like a veil. It's like separating realities, but it's ultimately all being dreamed. Damn, that looks cool in there. I mean, it doesn't look cool. You don't care. Let's spy on this where it doesn't look as cool on there. It's very ugly, this building. This is like one of the most strangest, like, look at the fucking it's very run down. It's very weird. Like, look at this. Oh yeah. Sound, bro. So I've just come out of work, by the way. I just did a 9-hour shift in a warehouse, and I was having a fucking mental breakdown for half of the day, like I do most times I go into work, to be honest, these days. I'm not going to get into all of that. Then let me finish my fucking analogy. Right. So the one I'm calling this Bowser's Castle and stuff. Basically, yeah, so like you go through your childhood watching TV and playing video games, potentially, partly, and you assume that that's just a fictional world that someone's created with an animation software, right? Which is relatively true. But then, like, basically what awakening can feel like, via maybe psychedelics, meditation, or just the general awakening, however, oh fuck, that door's broke, let's not fuck with that. Damn. The awakening is basically like, before you know it, you actually realize that the plot is not only within the game, but is also in real life, in a way. That could potentially be a projection of the mind, where, like, I grew up watching a show called Gravity Falls, and the nature of this animated cartoon treats its audience like they're not thick children. As in, this show that I used to really love, Gravity Falls, check it out. Even if you're older, mature, it's incredible, because the plot is great. It's actually got one of the villains is called Bill Cipher, and it's like a triangle with an eye, and he's like the main villain in the entire series. So he's basically an Illuminati with a fucking bow tie. And Alyssa Monsanto, who posts a lot of Payday Monsanto, she actually used Bill Cipher from Gravity Falls as one of the pictures for one of Payday Monsanto's songs. And obviously Payday Monsanto talks about a lot of this conspiracy sort of talk. And she knows who he is. I commented, big up Bill Cipher, and she replied, I see everything, because that's like one of his catchphrases. So the show Gravity Falls, basically, they sprinkle in codes and detective work all throughout the show. So you have to keep your eyes peeled. For example, if you reverse the theme tune, the intro of Gravity Falls, and you listen very closely, there's a whisper that says 3 letters back. The fans found out that basically at the end of the credits there's like gibberish text that's just like random, just jargon, and if you apply the 3 letters back, it's called the Caesar cipher, and you can decode what the credits are telling you, and it ends up saying things like Stan is not what he seems, and then you can basically intuit the plot via your detective work. So I'm saying that show might have programmed me to be conspiratorial minded in a way, which is a good thing, because the people who made that show are pretty cool-ish, I think. Excuse the wind, I'll do my absolute best to keep it not windy. So yeah, that show might have like programmed me, but like what I'm saying is I actually realise, like, you know, because like Bill Cipher's the villain, and then who's the villain in this actual world in the flesh? The Illuminati, I guess, to an extent, if you're being like kind of black and white. You know, the pyramid with the eye on the dollar bill. So like, why is that connection drawn? So when I say as above, so below, is what I'm saying is like, you basically start to realise and intuit and feel that you are in a plot, because basically you grow up, this is what happened to me anyway. I'm not saying inherently this has to be the case with you, but I was in a materialist paradigm, going to a materialist school. I was basically born into a religion that is materialism. A lot of materialists don't actually know that it's when I say religion, I mean like fundamentalist dogma, ideology. There's a difference between religion and ideological dogmatic religion, and science and materialism is dogmatic ideology. But they'll gaslight you because they're ignorant themselves, in a way. So I was growing up in a materialist paradigm type thing, and then you might have spiritual awakenings, you might have experiences that make you intuit that there's more to the name of the game than what you were programmed with. So you can incarnate as an ego in this body, you get sent into a quote-unquote education system, where really is indoctrination of ideology, etc., to an extent. Fuck the education system, injecting people with poison and more, feeding them poison, etc. Humanity's still very much in the dark ages, and that's a lot of it. So basically you learn slowly. Hold on, I've stumbled onto a YouTube video or a rap artist called Mr. Traumatic, and he's telling me that the food that I've been eating my whole life is polluted. I made a video called Understanding Plot Twist in Life. In that I'm talking quite metaphysically, but as in metaphysics means nature of reality, as in God and consciousness. But then on the relative plane, an insight that I had is a lot of why people like to entertain conspiracy theories, quote unquote, is because it leaves room for potential plot twist. That's what I was just saying. So, it seems that in the midst of your life that you thought was normal, you learn from some esoteric sources that the food that your culture and your family has been feeding you is actually being polluted the whole time. Therefore, maybe you were actually not as sharp as you could have been. Or you learn that there's fluoride in the water that maybe has calcified your pineal gland in your brain, also known as the third eye. You do deeper research. So eventually, basically, so plot twist leaves room, conspiracy theories leave room for plot twist in life. Because you can realize, like, what can I think of an example? Oh, it turns out that the media that I grew up watching, hypothetically, it turns out that it was actually programming, and I didn't know that I was a slave because I believed what the TV told me because they made it look credible. It's like these personal development YouTubers, and also like social media is very dodgy, and it is a lot of programming, so you got to be very careful about what you're consuming from the get-go. There's a lot of unlearning to do when awakening comes to be. Awakening, whether it's a political awakening or spiritual awakening or anything, there's a lot of like unlearning to do, and because you can watch YouTube videos like as a kid or whenever, or go to school, and the person see actualized.org's video, How Authority Works. I haven't watched that myself, but I've heard him reference it. I don't think I've watched it, but he's very good in terms of the absolute. He's not so good on the relative, and he's admitted that himself. So you put trust and authority into the doctor who has the credentials of Dr. in front of his name. Doctor Who. That's not what I meant. Because like, say Connor Murphy, he done this on purpose. He actually got the doctor put in front of his name, so he's now officially Dr. Connor Murphy. If you're not familiar with him, he was a materialist, fundamentalist, like rationalist, Western materialist bodybuilder, and then he drank ayahuasca, a psychedelic magic potion, in the jungle, and he had an awakening, and he kind of spiraled into infinity and documented it because he was a famous YouTuber already. And to prove his awakening stuff, I don't know inherently about everything to do with Connor Murphy these days, to be honest. Overall, I don't want to fucking branch off into talking about Connor Murphy, but he had awakenings and realised that his whole life was a lie. And to prove various points, one of the moves he made is he got the Dr. Connor Murphy in front of his name, to prove that you can get like official government, your name can actually be Dr. Connor Murphy, but that doesn't mean fuck all. So what I'm saying is, you put authority in the so-called doctor. See a song by Kashi Light that is on my YouTube channel called Real Pandemic. Kashi Light, Real Pandemic. He hits the nail on the head with this rap song about his past traumas, etc., where like, he says basically the doctor was robbed of perspective because she was trusting the book. So the doctor put authority, the doctor, or the so-called doctor, so we've already established that the doctor label is arbitrary, depends on who prescribes it. So who are you putting authority onto to give you the validity of being a valid doctor? So the doctor gets the label doctor from who, and they're trusting whoever, that they are actually a valid enough awakened being to prescribe the label doctor to other beings. And then the doctor puts her trust into the books. So they are in a way being like a victim in terms of they're externalizing the authority in a way where like they outsource their direct experience to the book, so the doctor is getting their information of what is valid to prescribe via the book, and the book is getting their validation, and the book puts their authority in the education system. And the education system puts it might put their authority, like, you know, it might go another level up, or simply eventually it kind of fades out into whoever is being sponsored and funded by who. 99% of scientists agree with whoever is funding them. So I'm being kind of long-winded about this, but what I'm saying is, like, so the doctor in the song Kashi Light, basically, to sum up the real pandemic song by Kashi Light, basically a child was put on Xanax and Adderall, I believe, so like very heavy narcotics as a child, as he states in the song. So he was put on narcotics as a child while living in this grid of shit and being sent to a fake education system and being fed poison, and the education system's offsetting their authority to, you know, whoever's above them into the book. And it can be rather strange loopy as well, where like everyone's just listening to the authority but no one actually knows where it ultimately comes from. Consciousness is very tricky. It's very strange loopy like that. So, but the reason I'm going on this massive tangent about all of this is because, yeah, so the child got put on these drugs, the mother trusted the doctor trusted the books. So you can see how this can create an elaborate self-deception just by putting authority onto something external to you. And this is likely what a lot of your childhood is potential. This is what I find myself in. So what you're witnessing on my channel is my process into, I'm going back into unity from division. So God divided itself via self-deception and becoming separate as this ego. I'm here, the external world is out there, or so I get taught by the education system, because I put authority into the books I was reading and the people with the label doctor or the label professor. For example, my granddad is Lord Martin. He just got that. Like, that don't mean fuck all. And it doesn't help as well, like how, like, when you're a kid, like you're not even really awake when you're young. So like you kind of just emerge and everything's like kind of like accepted as normal and no one really questions it. And like, especially a lot of this culture, I guarantee if you try to bring up any existential questions to these men who truck and trailer parts, they'll say, who's got time for existentialism? You're skint. Pass me the hammer. Fucking move that wheelbarrow. We need to make money. And that's why pain kind of is the linchpin of reality, in terms of, because there is scarcity and like financial scarcity, who's got time to think about the nature of reality, man? Like, because you have to work 9 hours a day. It's so genius how the whole thing's constructed. But what I'm saying about this as above so below, this like general theme of this video, is that, yeah, like the conspiratorial or metaphysical plot twist can happen because, yeah, you realize that consciousness and or like reality is kind of like tricked itself, or not inherently, because that's talking metaphysically, but I just mean like even just talking more on like a relative plane. I mean, yeah, assumption is the mother of all fuck-ups. That's another video by Leo Gura. And so yeah, you can so that child, Kashi Light potentially, or anyone, maybe you were put on antidepressants. Like Payday Monsanto has a lyric, oh, your legs restless, oh, you're shy, forget the side effects, not that many people die. And he's all about exposing the Matrix and Babylon and shit. I truly recommend him for conspiratorial insights. But yeah, basically you realize that somewhere along the line you made some assumptions, or you were programmed by a school. Like, if God or reality, you don't have to care about the metaphysics, but like, if you can incarnate as an ego, trust the education system or whatever, you can consciousness can program itself with any self-deception or delusion it wants, and it can live like that's reality for years. But what I'm saying about conspiracy theories being a plot twist enabler is that you can realize that what you thought was normal is not normal. Just because an entire culture thinks that something is normal does not mean that it is. So you as a child, so Kashi Light, that song of the real pandemic, of he states something along the lines of being on Addies and Xanax for 10 years. 10 years later, I'm still cracking this stress and depressed off the Addies and Xanax. Told the doctor multiple times, I can't anymore. But only so blind she couldn't see, or ears to hear. But so basically, like, yeah, so Kashi Light himself, and he's a very spiritual person as well. Check him out. He's got songs of Illuminati Congo. Kashi Light actually has a interview podcast with Mr. Nature, who's one of my best mates, and we have done a lot of podcasts and Instagram lives together that you can find on my YouTube channel. Just search Mr. Nature and oxsn, oxsn. So Kashi Light realised that, oh wait, hold on a second, it's like an awakening, a gradual awakening via maybe psychedelics, research, intuition, where there is a plot twist, and this is what I mean by how the TV shows and stuff that you watched as a kid, and the video games that you watched as a kid and stuff, you can slowly intuit that actually you're inside that type of thing, because you assume that this is just normal, mundane materialism, but then eventually you realise, hold on, everything I've been eating is poison. This doctor that my mum trusted when I was a child put me on narcotics. There's drugs in the tap water. My intuition is, and my sixth sense is fucking ringing all the bells. I ate a mushroom from the ground and I downloaded a vision from the fifth dimension. And then before you know it, you're like, wait hold on a second for a minute. Plot twist is enabled because of this new enlightening information, potentially, that things are not the way I thought they were. Whether that is absolutely with metaphysics, as in I thought this was me, but actually there's no difference really between anything. Everything is one energy and it's all happening within one dream. Take the analogy of when you dream at nighttime. Everything's happening within one mind, so there's no separation. My phone is about to run out of storage. I always end my videos like this. I hope not to in the future, and that will be a reflection of when I'm doing better within myself. And I'm doing good. Everything's perfect. God is infinite love. I know this for sure. It's absolutely true. You can't die. Consciousness is infinite. I know that for sure. I love you very much. I hope this was epic.